I grew up in Northern California. My mom is from the islands of Fiji, and my dad is from Indian descent. I am a dual citizen with American and Fijian citizenship. It was interesting growing up with this mix of cultures. In my home, we spoke English, Fijian, and Urdu. I grew up in Sacramento, California, and my dad and grandfather used to slaughter goats and chickens in the backyard for food. In Fiji, that's normal, but our neighbors didn't like that too much. I graduated from Sacramento High in 1998. I had seen movies like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, and I thought to myself that I would like to be in the Army one day. I admired the toughness and discipline. I also wanted a better life for myself. Since I didn't go to college, I thought the Army would provide me with new opportunities to make my life better. So I enlisted in the California Army National Guard. I went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It was the hardest 15 weeks of my life. When I finally graduated, I was proud and relieved. Here's a picture of my graduation from basic. But I knew there was a lot of hard work in front of me still. For Fort Sill, I went to Fort Leavenworth in Missouri for truck driving training for about 7 weeks. I came home to San Mateo and worked a full-time job while doing my National Guard duties. My company knew that we would be called to Afghanistan and Iraq sooner or later. In October 2005, the Army was looking for volunteers to go over, so I volunteered, and I wanted to get my tour over with. So I went to carpentry and masonry training in South Dakota to prepare for the mission. I needed that training because I would be building housing and building up the forward operating base, O5. So I got on the plane in January of 2006, and I was eager to get over there and start my time. My rank was E4, that's a specialist. My family was happy and proud, telling me to be careful. I thought to myself, it's only a year. When you come back, you'll have all the benefits. I was ready to do what I had been trained to do. I was proud to be going over there. My company, the 145th Engineer Company, was stationed in Far Solano. It's an urban area, and it's known as an Al-Qaeda training ground and Taliban hotspot. There's a lot of stuff going on there. On my second day there, a rocket exploded 100 feet away from me. That's when it really sunk in that this was for real. This wasn't a video game. It was a whole brand new ball game. I had 3 different guns that I carried with me every time I left the FOB for a mission. An M16, a 50 caliber, which is a bigger weapon with a bullet the size of your hand, and a M240 Bravo, which is like an M16, but it's more powerful. It shoots more rounds and is mounted on top of a Humvee. Instead of carpentry, which is thought we would be doing, we were doing security-related missions. We drove a Humvee looking for roadside bombs and IEDs, and clearing them away to make the road safe for the other troops that were leaving the FOB that day. We would find about 3 of these a week. It was called the RCP, Route Clearing Group. Then we would watch the locals to find out who was spying on us and reporting our locations on a cell phone. We would also work in the guard tower for 30 days at a time in the quick response unit. If we got rocketed on base, the person in the guard tower would look for who was transmitting our movements. I would also sometimes translate for my company because my dad taught me Urdu. I was able to communicate with some of the locals in Afghanistan. Urdu is one of the languages spoken in India, and it's also one of the 2 official languages of Pakistan. I would also say things like, hello, how are you, where's the road, and where are the bad people, and translate the answers to my company. The reason I'm here speaking to you today is because of something that happened on June 6, 2006. I was riding in the back of a Humvee with my roommate. It was a 3-vehicle convoy. We were on our way coming back from the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. We saw a station wagon, and I told the driver to go around it. The station wagon drove straight towards us and blew himself up. I hit my face and I was unconscious for about 30 seconds. I woke up and my nose was bleeding, and there was another rocket exploding on the hood of the car behind us. The guys behind us were burning, hanging out of the Humvee. There were more rockets shooting at us, and guys with guns shooting at us. Then they dropped their guns and started running away. I ran to the Humvee behind us and grabbed 2 of the guys who were burned and put them in my Humvee where they were safe. Then I called in a medevac. While I was doing this, I got shot at twice over my head and once by my legs. Once I got the guys safe in the Humvee, I started looking for the shooters, and they were gone. So I went back to prepare for the medevac to land. The guys who were injured were retrieved treated and recovered. They were active duty and I was National Guard. I was proud that I could help an active duty soldier because I was just a National Guardsman, and they always made fun of us. I found out later that one of the guys I helped came back to Afghanistan for another tour after his burns healed. I was proud to be a part of a group of such great men. A few months after this incident, I got presented with a Combat Action Badge. This badge provides special recognition to soldiers who personally engage the enemy or are engaged by the enemy during combat operations. It's decorated with a bayonet and grenade to symbolize active combat and an oak wreath to represent strength and loyalty. It's an honor to wear this badge. It says that I've been to war and that I was in it. It separates me from everybody else. This is something special, but I have other reminders too. It was soon after this attack that I started realizing that something was not right. Anxiety was turning me into a different person. I'd never been much of a drinker, but when I found out that my grandmother had a stroke, I could not cope with the stress any longer. I drank too much and got out of hand. I had to be disciplined by my leaders. In the past, I was seen as a leader and a good soldier. When I was sobered up, I was ashamed of myself. I wasn't acting like myself. I wondered what is happening to me. I felt out of control, but I wasn't the only one. Everyone has high anxiety over there, and it comes out in different ways. Out of 2,000 soldiers in the FOB, we had about 4 to 5 suicides in that year. I came home on February 2007. I brought home some physical and mental scars. On the physical side, I have shrapnel scar on my thigh, permanent hearing loss, cartilage problems with my knee from running, and a repetitive strain injury in my back from lifting. Like thousands of other soldiers coming home, I also brought home some mental injuries and illness. I have something called traumatic brain injury, or TBI. TBI occurs when a sudden trauma causes damage to the brain. Symptoms of a TBI can be mild, moderate, or severe. Basically, I have brain damage. Some common disabilities associated with TBI are problems with thinking, memory, reasoning, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, expression, and understanding, depression, anxiety, personality changes, aggression, acting out, and social inappropriateness. I've also been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The National Institute of Mental Health defines PTSD as an anxiety disorder that can develop after exposure to a terrifying event or ordeal in which great physical harm occurred or was threatened. Traumatic events that may trigger PTSD include violent personal assaults, natural or human-caused disasters, accidents, or military combat. Common symptoms are relieving the event, avoidance, feeling numb and hyper-awareness, delusions, hallucinations, disorientation, and memory loss. I have 100% disability rating for PTSD and 60% for TBI and physical injuries. So I have about 160% disability rating.